Hey y'all, welcome. I'm Maggie Jhos Singer, and on behalf of the entire JCC of San Francisco, I welcome you to Nosh on This, our foodways and Jewish culture series that we started this year. As a Maggid, which is kind of like a preacher, a teacher, a storyteller, a song singer, an all-around kind of Jewish spiritualist, culturalist, I do lots of things at the JCC, and one of the things that I love doing is making cocktails and beverages that tie into Jewish culture in some way. So today, I'm going to be making a amazing, hot Mexican Jewish coffee. How's that? A Jewish, a Jumexi coffee. That's what we're having today. We are so excited to have our friend and chef, Fanny Gerson, be with us to do some teaching about Jewish culture in Mexico, Mexican foodways, combining with Jewish culture and all of that. So I'm making a beverage that will go along with her amazing tres leches babka that you'll hear all about when you go to Nosh on This for our final installment of this year's presentation. Okay, so what we've got, a few specialty items. One is, what I did was I took tequila and I infused it with cumin and fennel, and there's a cinnamon stick in there too. So that was the first order of business, was getting something that had kind of Jewish Mexican spices that are going to complement this coffee. So I'm going to take that, and I've just got a very simple Melita setup right here. I'm just going to pour that in and let that strain while I'm getting the rest of the drink set up. This has been sitting for, I don't know, about 10 days, and I just gently macerated the, macerate, is that the right word? I used a mortar and pestle and lightly ground the fennel and the cumin before I put the tequila in. And then I just put a whole cinnamon stick in, like that, okay? So now we're letting that go together. The next thing we are gonna need to do is we're gonna need to make some coffee. I love this setup. It's a Kalita Japanese flat bottom filter. Very simple, not expensive, but it makes an excellent, excellent cup of coffee. I'm going to take 2 scoops of freshly ground coffee, 2 tablespoons, and I'm gonna go a little heavy, so slightly rounded. I don't know if you can see that. There you go, slightly rounded. 1, 2 of those. Now, if you prefer a non-alcoholic version of this beverage, what I would suggest that you do is grind your own coffee, 2 very rounded spoons of beans in your little whatever kind of coffee grinder you have, and then I would put a pinch of cumin and maybe about a quarter of a teaspoon of fennel. Put it in there, grind it all together so you get the spices in the coffee and you don't have to deal with the alcohol. So that would be probably a really nice way of accomplishing the same thing that I've been working on here. All right, I'm just gonna stir that a little bit. And now we're gonna make our coffee. So, a couple of things about coffee making. Fresh beans are the most important thing. Fresh ground if you possibly can. And then the next important thing is, see that? There we go. I'm gonna bloom the beans. These are very fresh beans. So when I put just a little bit of water on there, they kind of puff up and bubble and boil, and you can kind of see this. Let me see if I can show you. No, I can't show you. So I can't show you because I just put coffee all over my counter. I really wanted to show you though. All right, so you're gonna let that bubble and boil a little bit for maybe 10, 15 seconds before you start to pour your water on. And then you're just gonna go kind of slowly and use the stream of the water to submerge the grounds that come up to the top. It's not a big rush. You wanna take this a little slow. You'll get a much better flavor out of your coffee beans if you do that. Alrighty. In the meantime, while that's all dripping, I'm going to heat up my cup with some of that water. So this is a Bodum double-walled tea or coffee cup. I think they're very pretty. But you could use any kind of a heat-resistant glass would work just fine. And of course you could do it in a mug, but then it won't be as pretty. So everything's dripping through. While this is dripping, I want to speak just a little bit about Shabbat, because Shabbat is what this whole Nosh on Us is about this week. Shabbat is this beautiful, incredible, really psychologically smart gift that we get, originally from the Torah, that tells us, you know what, y'all were slaves. Y'all worked 24/7 until you died. So tell you what, one of the first things I'm going to give you now that you're free is a day off. A day off where you can just be, where you don't have to do anything, you don't have to make anything, you have to be anybody's anything, you just get to be you. And part of the Jewish spiritual tradition is understanding that when you are just you, you're part of the whole. Whatever you want to call that. Some people call it the divine, whatever. You're part of the whole. Gives yourself a whole day to feel your integration into the world, just you being you. So that's what Shabbat comes along to offer us. It's an amazing gift, amazing. And it's difficult to say yes to it because we are so primed to work. We are so primed to do, to make, to fix, to fuss. So, celebrating Shabbat, we need each other for that. You need somebody to say to you, you know what, bud, take a load off. It's okay. The world will spin without you just fine, and you really, really can let yourself go a little bit. So that's what we're celebrating. And, in our historical zeal to get people to take a day off, inadvertently, I believe, our ancient rabbis of blessed memory came up with a whole bunch of things that made it feel restrictive, like you can't do this and you can't do that. And really it should have been, you don't have to do this, you don't have to do that. Only thing you have to do is be you. So I just want to offer that to you as a possibly new way of thinking about Shabbat. And what I love to do on Shabbat is cook, which there's a million things in there that rabbinically I'm prohibited from doing, but it makes me be me. And I love making food, I love making drinks, I love doing all of that stuff. So that's why I'm doing this with y'all right now. All right, there we go. So that's nice, and I got as much as I really need. That's that tequila that's been infused with those aromatics. Wow. That smells really interesting, really complex, really good. All right, we've got our coffee is looking perfect, looking great. And now we've got some very cool ingredients. We have got some Piloncillo, which is Mexican brown sugar. It's actually not brown sugar at all. It's cane juice that has been boiled and reduced until you can form it into a loaf. In English, people call it loaf sugar. It can also be called panela or a panocha. But it is pure cane juice that never even made it to the sugar stage. It's not super hard, but it is solid. So what I'm going to want to do with that is I'm going to take my, first, let's do this. The next thing that we're going to need is some cream. We're going to need to turn that into somewhat whipped. So I'm going to pour it just into a plain old mason jar. Not quite halfway full. Pop the cap on there nice and tight. And I'm going to shake that heavy cream for about 20 seconds. I want it to get kind of puffed up, enough that it is about half again as big as it started. So I want this jar to be about 3/4 of the way full. Oh, we're coming up on it, I know, because my arms are starting to burn. All right, let's see. Close, a little bit more. All right. Yes, looks good. All right, now I'm gonna take my pre-warmed glass. I'm gonna take my Piloncillo and I'm going to grate some of that right into my glass right here, okay? So let me just tip this down so you can see what's happening here. All right, so you just take some kind of a, microplaner or some kind of a grater. You can, if you're very careful, use a knife and scrape it, but I would recommend some kind of a grater instead. Now, this Piloncillo is not as sweet as regular sugar, so you can kind of go a little heavier than you might think. So I've got, it's about a teaspoon and a half, maybe 2 teaspoons. And then I'm gonna take 1 ounce of my infused tequila, 1 ounce. And I'm pour that right in on top of that sugar. And I'm gonna stir that around a little bit and get that sugar to start to dissolve a little bit. You could make a sugar syrup, but I think it dissolves pretty easily if you grate it pretty fine. So I think we're good. All right, and now we're just gonna pour our nice hot coffee on top of that. Okay. There we go. Beautiful. I'm gonna give that one more little stir just to make sure that all of that, oh my goodness, wow. That's incredible. You all are gonna love this. So good. Okay, and now I'm gonna take my cream, for one last little shake for good measure. And we're gonna just gently pour that on top of this drink. Here we go. Oh, it's gorgeous. Gentle, gentle, gentle. Lovely. Okay. Beautiful. Now we're going to, final touch, I'm just going to grate a little bit more of this Piloncillo on top just to make it kind of pretty. That's my little garnish for this drink. You could probably use some nutmeg or some cinnamon on top if you wanted something a little bit more dramatic, but there it is. The Jumexi Coffee. L'chaim. Oh yeah. Watch out, Buena Vista Club, here we come. L'chaim, my friends, Shabbat Shalom. Really and truly, think about it. What would it take to just let you relax? Kick back with a beautiful cup of something on a soft, yummy couch or hammock. Maybe take a nap. Whatever it takes for you to just re-insole yourself. Vayinafash, to re-insole yourself. L'chaim. Yeah, that's Shabbos.